You know, some of the wildest stories out there aren't in movies. They're hidden in plain sight, right inside a stock chart. Today, we're going to be financial detectives. We're going to crack open one single chart and see what an incredible story it has to tell. All right, let's get into it.
Okay, so this is our very first clue. $151 million change. That's how many shares of one single company, Critical Metals Corp, traded hands in just one day back in October.
And just to be clear, that number is, well, it's bonkers. It absolutely crushes what the stock normally trades. When you see a number like that pop up, it's not just market noise. It's a huge signal flare going up, telling you something major is going down.
And that signal flare was pointing to an absolutely explosive price spike. So that's our job today. We're going to put on our detective hats, follow the clues hidden right there in the data, and piece together the story behind this wild ride.
The company we're putting under the microscope is Critical Metals Corp. You'll see it under the ticker CRML. And believe me, it has been on one of the most remarkable runs you'll see. We're going to unpack exactly what happened.
So, just how big was this whole thing? Well, in just 3 months, the stock shot up over 350%. Yeah, this wasn't just a good quarter. This was an absolutely extraordinary surge.
And here's the thing. It wasn't some slow, steady climb up the mountain. Nope, this stock went from being pretty quiet to just extreme volatility. The analysis calls this a speculative phase, which is kind of the market's way of saying it went from 0 to 100 like right now.
You know, any good investigation starts with the basics. And for us, that means looking at the two most fundamental pieces of evidence we've got: price and volume. Where has the stock's price been? And how many people were along for the ride, buying and selling?
This timeline really lays it all out. You can see it started off super quiet back in July, just hanging around $3. Then on July 15th, you get that first little spark, a breakout. Things cool off for a bit, but then late August hits and a whole new push begins, just building and building until, bam, that explosive day on October 6th where it skyrockets to almost $17.
So, we've traced the basic path. Now it's time to dig deeper. And to do that, we need to open up the analyst toolkit and pull out some specialized forensic tools. We call them technical indicators, to really get what was driving this thing.
First up, moving averages. The easiest way to think about these, they're like the stock's GPS. They smooth out all the bumpy, day-to-day noise and just show you the underlying direction. Is this stock on a clear highway, or is it kind of lost? Well, for CRML, the GPS is screaming major upward highway.
Now, there are a couple of different kinds. The SMA gives you that long, steady view. The EMA, though, is all about what's happening right now. It reacts way faster. And with CRMLO, the faster EMAs are way above the slower ones. So what does that tell us? Not only is the trend going up, but its recent momentum is actually picking up speed.
Okay, next tool, the RSI, or Relative Strength Index. If moving averages are the GPS, think of the RSI as the speedometer. It tells us how fast the price is moving. And, just like with a car, if that speedometer is way in the red, it might mean the engine is overheating. For a stock, we call that overbought.
And finally, we have the Money Flow Index, or MFI. This one is all about following the big money. It looks at both price and volume to tell us if there's a ton of buying pressure, big investors piling in, or if there's heavy selling pressure, which could mean they're heading for the exits.
So, let's put all these clues together on the table. Other indicators like MACD and ADX, they all confirm it. This is a really strong bullish trend. The MFI? It's showing crazy strong buying pressure. But look at that RSI, a reading of 82.38. That is deep in the overbought red zone. Our speedometer is flashing a major warning light that this thing might be seriously overextended.
So with all this data in hand, we can now start to map out the battlefield. We can actually pinpoint the key price levels where this stock might hit a wall, we call that resistance, or where it might find a safety net, which we call support.
And here's the map for CRML. The ceiling, or resistance, is sitting up there around that recent high of $16.68. The floor, or support, is down around $9, with a psychological level right at $10. And the stock right now, it's trading right smack in the middle of that battlefield.
Okay, so we've gathered all the evidence, we've analyzed it with our tools, we've mapped the terrain. Now we get to the big question every detective has to answer. Based on everything we found, what happens next?
Well, the analysis really points to 3 possible futures here. First, there's the bullish path. The momentum just keeps going, and it punches right through that ceiling.
Or there's the neutral path. It just chills out for a while, moves sideways, and catches its breath. And then there's the bearish path. Traders decide to cash in, and the price drops back down to test that floor of support.
And this quote from the analysis just nails it. The very thing that makes this stock so exciting, the fact that it can make these huge, fast moves, is the exact same thing that makes it so risky. That's the game, right? Opportunity and risk, two sides of the same coin.
So let's boil this whole investigation down. What's the number one takeaway? It's this. You have an incredibly powerful uptrend that's clashing with some very loud, very clear warning signs that it's overextended. It's a classic high-wire act. The old saying goes, the trend is your friend. But those flashing warning lights are suggesting your friend might be about to do something crazy.
Which brings us right to our final question. Is this a rocket ship that's about to blast off to the moon, or is it a bubble that's just about to pop? The data suggests the real question is how you'd even handle a machine with such a powerful engine, but a dashboard that's lit up with warning lights. An experienced trader, they might just wait for things to cool off a bit, maybe pull back to a support level. The story so far is of a stock at a massive crossroads, and the next chapter is going to be all about whether this is a true breakout or just a spectacular burnout.